Hello! You're listening to Career Conversations, a series that's part of the Food Matters Live podcast. I'm Alicia Roche, a chef and food journalist, and together we'll meet experts in cooking, mixology, the environment, psychology, branding, social media, and all sorts as we learn about the surprisingly varied roles that go way beyond the kitchen. In this pod, I'm chatting to the incredible Dr. Greg Lessons, who spent 17 years as a firefighter before swapping to become a registered nutritionist who specialises in public health, sports and exercise nutrition. Greg holds an MSc and a PhD, but says he still learns all the time from the young people he mentors and trains. I'll be back at the end with some key info about getting into this very specialised area of nutrition, but for now, settle in and enjoy the podcast. Where are you today? Can you paint a bit of an audio picture for our listeners, please?
I'm in the semi-rural surroundings of beautiful Hertfordshire, looking at lots of nicely coloured trees. I've got the autumnal colours coming now.
Oh, Greg, that really was a very beautiful picture. Perhaps the most descriptive we've had. I feel all warm and want to go and look at some bonfires now. So, am I right in thinking that this career you've got now wasn't your first career, and actually the bulk of your career was as a firefighter for like 20 years or more?
Yes, that's quite right. Completely changed roles. I couldn't get more of an extreme change if you tried. Pretty much, 17 years as a firefighter, retrained as a nutritionist, graduated 2017 with my MSc in human nutrition. And then went on to my PhD, and now I'm doing this role.
Absolutely amazing, Greg. So when you left school, did you go straight into the fire service?
No, I did college. I did a BTEC National Diploma in Public Services, so that was with a view to joining the fire service at the age of 16. So that lasted 2 years, and then at 18, I'd changed my mind by then. I wanted to be in the Royal Marines. Which I think a lot of young men go through a phase of wanting to join the military, and it became clear that it would be better to join as an officer. So I went to university to get a degree to enable that, but it wasn't long after starting my first degree at Exeter University, and that was in sports science. It wasn't long after starting that I realised that actually I didn't want to join the military, so I wasn't quite sure at that point what I was going to do, and then just went full circle and ended up joining the fire service after university at the age of 21.
But just like the military, as far as I know, being a firefighter, you've got to be incredibly fit. There's loads of training. So there are some parallels, aren't there?
Absolutely, yeah. But it's funny, there are parallels, but then in terms of what you actually do, it couldn't be more further apart in a sense, you know. Obviously, the military, one of the main objectives is to injure and kill, obviously in the name of service to the country and the king and protecting our interests. But as a firefighter, you're doing the opposite to that. You're purely trying to rescue people. So that appealed to my nature, I suppose, more so.
And in your current role, you're rescuing people, but in a different way, aren't you? Because you're looking after their nutrition. What I find really staggering is that I always thought firefighters had to be super fit. But then I'm hearing, when I read about what you've been doing for a living, that there's actually a lot of obesity and weight problems and mental health problems in the fire service.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a paradox, I suppose. Yeah, to perform the role of a firefighter, you need a high level of physical fitness, muscular endurance and cardiorespiratory fitness. But the fire service is a microcosm of society in general. So whereas 2/3 of the general population are overweight or obese, it appears to be not much different in the fire service. And there's several contributing factors that are driving that. The environment being the main one. So it's by no means a question of personal responsibility. It is purely the environment that's driving this problem. So then, therefore, any intervention that seeks to improve that situation needs to really look at how to change the environment.
At what point did you become interested in studying nutrition, and why was it a personal trigger for you?
I've always realised the power of physical fitness ever since I was very young, and and really, I think as a firefighter early in my career, um, the food environment, as I mentioned previously, was leading me to gain a bit of body fat. Just because big portions of food at meal times, you're eating in a family style environment, with a group of people, socially, and I became interested in, well, how I could improve my health through nutrition, not just losing body fat, but really just optimizing my energy levels and my overall health, reducing risk factors for non-communicable diseases, and just, because to me, the healthier you are, the happier you are, really. So yeah, it was a no-brainer, and that interest probably started in my early 20s as a young firefighter, and then just gradually grew until it got to beginning of 2015, and I went back to uni and did that masters, just so that I knew where to look for proper evidence-based science and how to understand that and interpret it and then put it into action, really.
I mean, let's, not beat around the bush here. You were an award-winning student when you were at London Metropolitan Uni. Let's have a little boast about your award, Greg. Your student dissertation ended up being in an international competition and then was turned into a published paper. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that was real confidence boost. So yeah, my dissertation, it won the best project prize at London Met Uni and across the disciplines of food, dietetics, and nutrition. And my supervisor for that, Dr. D. Bacter, um, encouraged me to submit an abstract to the Nutrition Society to present at their winter conference in 2017 at the Royal Society of Medicine. So I did that. It got accepted, and I found myself presenting to academics at the that winter conference, and was up against about 11 or 12 other students in the student competition. And yeah, lo and behold, won best presentation or best original communications. So that was really, really quite encouraging. And certainly public speaking wasn't something I particularly loved doing. It filled me with fear, as it does probably most people. So yeah, that was a real turning point for me.
What common stereotypes and misconceptions do people have about firefighters or about what they do day to day?
Stereotypes are, I suppose, the classic one is what a firefighter looks like. We've all seen the calendars of very fit, lean, handsome firefighters, and the truth is, we come in all shapes and sizes, and that's a good thing, because you don't want huge, big, muscly guys all the time. Certainly some aspects of the role requires other physical attributes. In fact, smaller bodied people like myself can come in quite useful, getting through tight gaps and so on. So you need those differences. So I'd say that's a misconception.
And because you are largely looking after other people, whether it's a fire or another dangerous situation, how are firefighters trained to look after their own mental health and well-being?
Well, I think it's becoming more and more important. Certainly, health and well-being teams are a thing now in most UK fire services, and there's, generally speaking, an emphasis on mental health. There certainly has been the last year or two. So lots of provision in terms of mental health first aiders being trained in at fire stations and in fire service workplaces, and different health and wellbeing programs, i.e. workshops being delivered, which is something my team now delivers to across the UK fire and rescue services, and that covers quite a few areas of mental and physical health. But yeah, they've got their own in-house provision. Plus, as the firefighters charity, we can bolster that by giving them additional provision.
Do you actually mentor or employ any young people yourself?
Yeah, we have student placements that come through the charity, and I supervise the nutritionists and dietitians that come through. So we work with London Metropolitan University there and the School of Health Sciences. Um, I'm from that department myself. I still do some associate lecturing for them, which is great. So that's another string to my bow, and something I enjoy. Um, so yeah, and that's quite rewarding actually. Never fails to amaze me the level of knowledge of both undergrad and postgrad students of nutrition and dietetics, and I can often learn from them. So yeah, it's a real pleasure to work with those people.
It sounds like they're lucky to have you. So, if you're a young person listening to this right now thinking, I'd quite like to get into Greg's line of work, what do you expect from someone who's shadowing you or on work experience or interning with you? What's the basic things they need to have?
If we're talking about my line of work, it's quite a unique role. And as we said, it's quite multifaceted. So I would say if we narrow that down to the nutritionist part of that role, um, I think a good knowledge of public health nutrition and understanding cross-sectional research, understanding obviously how to interpret all types of research, um, and how that would apply to particular population groups, and such as firefighters. Um, I think you need to be quite dynamic in the way you think, and maybe quite creative. Um, in how you adapt certain principles and um, advice for certain people within a particular population group. So, having quite a lot of common sense and dynamism, I would say, and being able to think outside the box, and being able to deal with a little bit of pressure, being put on the spot, which all comes with practice. And I think, yeah, th- those are the main, and obviously a love of nutrition. But for my role in particular, there's only one. So until I leave, no one's having it.
You were describing earlier how your job is difficult to describe because it's so multifaceted. Is there such a thing as a typical day for you? Or, what does your day look like?
I think quite a lot of meetings. Yeah, around. So I have team meetings. I've got six members of staff. Wonderful team. So we meet every Monday. So we're recording this on a Monday. So that's what we did first thing this morning. And then it could be anything from doing some creative work, so creating some educational resources in terms of nutrition for the fire service, or helping one of my team or a group of my team develop resources. I'm also involved in structuring a quality assurance process around our health and well-being articles and literature that goes on our website, on our online platform. So ensuring that everything meets certain standards, that it's peer reviewed, periodically reviewed, and so on, and it's all evidence based. And working on research as well. So I'm on the research committee for within the firefighters charity. So we look at how we can do our own original research, undertake some of that, but then also ask other institutions that we work with to do some research for us. So overseeing some of that. I'm in the process of working on a short dietary screener and a validation study, so that we've got a short form food frequency questionnaire that can be used in brief interventions. And in fact, a couple of previous student placements have been very, very useful and very, very helpful in that process. So just going back to how great it is to work with students at London Metropolitan University, and also working with our catering teams at our charity centres, our rehab centres. We've got 3 of those dotted around the country, and we try and make sure that the food we provide at those centres for our beneficiaries that are going through residential programmes is of the highest quality in terms of nutritional content. So ensuring that it's they're getting a minimum of 5 a day, lots of fibre, reducing saturated fat, making sure they're getting all their micronutrients and so on. So that's a work in progress, trying to improve that all the time. So my day's very varied.
I feel like, Greg, with your knowledge and your great team around you, if you can sort out the nutrition for the fire service, you could probably go to the NHS and sort out hospital food as well. What do you think of that?
Well, I think there's lots to be done in all workplaces, and I'm actually on a special interest group within the Nutrition Society, which is looking at workplace nutrition and what can be done by employers and stakeholders in across different sectors, different employment sectors, because a lot of your life is spent at work. If you're in a workplace, you quite often you'll be eating the food that's around you, and we know the power of the food environment as dietitians and nutritionists. So it makes sense to address that where you can.
It's me again. So that was Greg, who is down to earth despite some incredible hard graft and award-winning research into helping past, present and future firefighters to live healthier lives. It just goes to show how niche nutrition studies can become and how much you can specialise if you want to. The average starter salary for a nutritionist in the UK is really good. It's £28,000 per year, rising to more than £30,000 in big cities. You could end up working all over the place in public health, private health, research, charities, or even in overseas aid. And then as a private practitioner, of course, the earning potential is huge. To get there, you'll need a degree in nutrition, and also you'll need to be able to show on-the-job work experience. If you're wondering if this is the career for you, take a look at the Nutrition Society website, which has loads of useful links, and also look at the Association for Nutrition website, and that will show you all the study courses available around the country. Thanks to Greg for his time, and also let's say thanks to him for choosing a job where he is improving so many lives. And thank you for listening. Till next time, goodbye.